Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. Wait, what? Alright, don't get your panties in a bunch. I'm on the advanced server where all my Indian and Romanian friends exist. I think it's Romanian, I'm actually not very sure. Let's take a look at the banner and whether should you pull for him or not. So I'm going to discuss a few things. Okay, so firstly we're going to take a look at the banner, we're going to take a look at the rewards. There you go, you've seen the rewards already. It's probably not looking so fancy. I mean, it's kind of like the same, right? So basically, if you summon 200 times, you get 20 gold records back. So that's about 10% returns, which is basically the same as the previous one. But this time around, we only have one legendary ability, which is kind of sad. I didn't know what to expect, but I guess this is it. And I feel like the reason why they split it into like 20, 50, and 100, so it's a little bit more spaced out, right, for this time around. And the reason why I think this is the case is because they don't expect like a lot of you guys to have a whole ton of summons. So most of you guys probably can only fit into this, get back two gold records. Whereas there are going to be like a few of us who are probably going to have like about 50 summons saved. So here we are. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the summoning rates, right? Because we want to see how the PT works over here. So as you can see, designated as per chance up. So during the event, blah blah blah. Okay, we're going to skip to this part. If you haven't acquired this Esper after 450 spins, this is the part that I was actually wrong, okay? So your next legendary Esper acquired through spins is guaranteed to be this Esper, which means that, okay, so it's not on your 451st spin that you get a legendary Esper, but rather what this means is if you have 450 spins and you still did not get Ahmed, you may potentially need another 120 summons in order to draw for him. So it goes anywhere in between 450 summons to 570 summons. So some of you guys were actually correct on this, and thank you for correcting me on that as well. So that is the PT. But honestly, like I said before, honestly, free-to-play players, this is mostly for whales and like maybe the big dolphins, so it's just to keep those guys happy. Not so much for the free-to-play players unless you have tremendous ability in saving your gold records. Right, so this is the banner. Let's take a look at Ahmed and the new guy Stewart as well. Let's take a look at whether are they really worth it or not, because that is the million-dollar question over here. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at Ahmed. He looks pretty awesome, not gonna lie. He looks like a Sienna but reverse, right? Like Sienna, everything is going up, but for him, everything is going down. Okay, regardless, let's take a look at his skills again, now with all the percentages here, right? So attacks an enemy 3 times. Each hit deals damage equal to 15% of attack plus 2% of his max HP. This is basically nothing, by the way. Heals an ally's HP equal to 4% of the caster's max HP. So he heals up to 12% of his max HP, which is pretty good. This is a little bit stronger than Clara. Clara heals up to 10% only. Now moving on to his passive, we have Warm Harmonics. Each time Geb casts a healing ability actively, he passively heals an ally with the lowest HP. So that's even more heals, right, on his first skill. If a target suffers from a max HP penalty, then you restore the target's max HP threshold by 5% and clears disease debuff. So this 5% is probably like, you know, removing the HP cap effect and all that. So he's going to be a very good counter against Loyan, especially in the Temporal Tower, and applies 1 stack of Supporting Song. Now, if the target's HP is below 50%, you apply another stack of Supporting Song. But what does Supporting Song do? So it is undispellable, that's why it's a gold buff over here. It grants 2% base attack per stack, up to 25 stacks. So that's pretty good. It goes up to 50% extra base attack for, you know, any of your allies who received healing from him. Now moving on to his third skill, we have World Stage. Reduces all allies' ability cooldowns by 1 turn and performs a single target heal up to 10 times. Okay, I mean 10 times. Now each heal targets the lowest HP ally, restoring their HP equal to 8% of the caster's HP. This is insane amount of heal, dude. This is like up to 80% of his max HP. Now this skill is exceptionally powerful. It is very powerful in terms of single target healing, okay? So it will heal whoever has the lowest HP 10 times, which means that you can potentially heal several different Espers at once, so long as, you know, their HP percentages are like kind of like balanced out and all that. So very interesting kit. His heals generally target Espers with low HP, but is that really a good thing for his passive? Because his passive actually grants attack power to whoever's the lowest HP, but the problem now is, what makes you so sure that your DPS Esper is going to have the lowest HP so that they're going to receive this effect, right? So for example, if your support Esper is low on HP and they gain this buff, this is almost worthless, right? So that's something for you to consider. But that's not a problem, because there are a few Espers that I've mentioned before, right? There are a few Espers that have the ability to sacrifice their own HP, one of which I'll talk about tomorrow, and that is going to be Charmers. And there are 2 others as well. So let's take a look at who are these 3 Espers. Okay, so the first one is obviously going to be the new Esper Stewart. So we're going to going to jump straight into his third skill first so that we can take a look at why he's quite good used in tandem with Ahmed. So over here, he actually loses 25% of his current HP. So the moment you sack your own HP like that, Ahmed is just going to heal him and therefore buff his attack. Same thing goes to Taylor as well. So Taylor loses 30% of his HP in true damage, which is potentially very powerful with Taylor as well because Taylor is capable of doing a lot of damage, right? So let's take a look at his max stat over here. He has an insane 1242 base attack at max level. That's insane. That's a lot of attack. And obviously the third choice, which I've mentioned earlier on, is going to be Chalmers. Okay, so Chalmers loses 40% of his current HP like that, which means that, you know, if he loses so much HP and he gets all those healings done after that, he's gonna gain a lot of attack power. Now let's take a look at Ahmed's stats, alright? So at max level, he has almost 16,000 HP, that's pretty good. 900 attack, that's quite high for a support, and generally very low defense. Okay, so this is quite weird to me, okay? So in my opinion, these stats are actually quite low. So he has almost 16,000 HP and 754 defense, which is probably what you want to look at as a support. But if you take a look at like Clara, for example, I'm pretty sure she has more stats, right? So she has, yeah, almost 16,000 HP as well and a lot more defense. So Clara is a lot more tanky. Unfortunately, I do not know why Ahmed is not as tanky. And it's not even as if he does a lot of damage. He only has one damaging skill, so there is that. And he also has a universal ally HP increase by 30%, which I don't know, I feel like it's not that required anymore because everyone has a Gabrielle. So that will be Ahmed. Let's take a look at Stewart for a bit. Okay, so let's take a look at his first skill, right? Down your cups. Attacks an enemy once, dealing damage equal to 130% of attack with a 50% chance of inflicting sleep for 1 turn. Okay, now second skill, Soundly Dreams. Attacks an enemy once, dealing damage equal to 170% of attack. If the target's HP falls below 70% after the attack, you sleep him for 2 turns instead with a very short cooldown of 3 turns. This is not bad. And now his third skill, this is Time Vortex. Deals damage to a target equal to 350% of attack at the cost of 25% of your current HP. When landing a critical hit, deals bonus damage equal to 10% of the target's max HP, and the amount of extra damage cannot exceed 200% of his attack. Okay, so very similar to like Chalmers, right, for example. But damn, this skill actually hits really hard, right? 550% attack, that is a very big hit. This attack inflicts sleep on both the caster and the target for 1 turn, uses Soundly Dreams to counter attack when the caster is interrupted from sleep. Holy hell, they really ramped up his DPS like crazy. He's going to be so good, okay, so strong for Holo Battle, that's for sure. 550% attack all at once, and you know, putting himself to sleep is not really a problem because he has a free second skill like that. He can just use this for free, right? So honestly, I think that this is very powerful. He is going to be quite a powerful Esper in my opinion, and he also has a universal ally attack increased by 24%, which further boosts his efficacy in, like, let's say Holo Battles. But of course, we have to take a look at his stats, right? So at max level, he has, okay, it's quite decent, 1143. It's not exactly high end or anything like that, but it's still pretty decent. Okay, so here's my review on both Ahmed and Stewart. I do feel like probably Stewart is going to be a little bit more like widely used, okay, a little bit more useful in more content, right? Because his typing is going to be Inferno, which means he's naturally going to be good at Chronos, naturally going to be good at a Pep. I think he's potentially quite good at a Pep because if he sleeps himself, a Pep is just gonna like attack him and wake him up, and he's just gonna counter with a second skill. That's insane, dude. Like that's just free damage, okay? But as for Ahmed, I feel like he's a little bit more niche in a sense that you only want to use him with Espers that reduce their own HP. If not, it's gonna be very hard for you to, you know, make this very useful. Like I said before, if his heals go into your supports, then that don't really make a lot of sense for his supporting song. So I think I'm a little bit more excited for Stewart in my opinion. I think he's gonna be a very welcome addition to my team, and I'm definitely gonna use him in a lot of places. I mean, he is going to be a tank killer, right? Because of this, right? Scales off 10% of target's max HP, well, up to 200% of his attack. But that means that he's going to be, you know, dealing a lot more damage to enemies with a lot more HP. So he's potentially going to be quite useful in Temporal Tower as well. I would definitely love to try him out. Now with that said, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys found this useful. Hope you guys found it helpful as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now this has been Daddy Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.